Part 110. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1091. Who is Wu Lijuan? Not only Secretary Zheng and Chen Xingguo asked, but everyone present was also confused. Wang Lingzi felt there was a glimmer of hope and hurriedly said, "My high school classmate is also from Guancheng. Her family lives in the commune. Her name is Wu Lijuan. She gave me the idea when I was shopping at the Supply and Marketing Cooperative yesterday." Wang Xinlei's wife slapped her daughter with her backhand and said, "It wasn't your idea. Why didn't you kid tell me earlier? I knew it. I knew my daughter was an honest and well-behaved girl. She would never come up with such an idea. You two comrade cotters, you must be aware of it and give my Ganoderma her innocence. She, a young girl, cannot suffer such unfair injustice." Grandpa Lu San sneered and said, "According to you, the Luzhang family and Guancheng deserve to be unfairly wronged. She reported the report, right? She was the one responsible for the crime, right? You were so sworn during this period, but why did the truth come to light? Instead, she claimed that someone else taught her? What about her own brain being eaten by a dog? If she did this even though she knew it would bring disaster to the Luzhang family, it meant that as for her own intention, it has nothing to do with whether others teach her or not." Grandpa Lu San. Wang Xinlei, who had always been silent, showed a pleading look. "Look, even though this girl was in a daze for a moment and did such a thing, we as parents would like to crawl into the cracks of the ground. Okay. There is no publicity, and only the young and old men present know that as long as everyone does not mention today's incident after leaving here, it will not cause any damage to the Lu family and Guancheng. For the sake of our honesty, please. Everyone should treat her lightly. Our eldest daughter and two daughters are already married, and this one is the only one left. If she does something wrong, it will kill us." What a wise statement. Secretary Zheng and Chen Xingguo looked at Wang Xinlei, who looked honest and loyal. Compared with his wife and daughter who just begged for mercy, Wang Xinlei's words touched everyone's heart. Didn't you see that the faces of the 2 or 3 middle-aged people named Wang showed a trace of emotion? The state has national laws, and families have family rules. Chen Xingguo hurriedly spoke before Grandpa Lu San opened his mouth, and said in a deep voice, "There is no such thing as not investigating the main cause without causing evil consequences. You are holding a knife and want to kill someone, because there are other. If you didn't kill the other party in the end, you are innocent and don't have to bear the crime of murder. Impossible. Today's incident is slander, and it is an extremely bad slander. Although it is not as serious as murder, we are at dawn. The commune will never tolerate it." Secretary Zheng said, "As for whether Wu Lijuan was the instigator, we will not listen to Wang Lingzi's side of the story. Her report was originally made out of nothing. Who can guarantee that she was not looking for a scapegoat to exonerate herself? No matter what she did, all have to bear the consequences of this matter, and condoning it will only make her worse." No matter how hard Wang Xinlei and his wife begged, no matter how Wang Lingzi expressed regret and changed his ways, it was of no avail to Secretary Zheng and Chen Xingguo. They took Wang Lingzi away when they left. Although the crime of falsely accusing others is not serious, it still requires a period of reform through labor or a period of imprisonment. No one cares about the length of labor camp or detention, they just think Wang Lingzi should be punished. If there is a cause, then there will be an effect. If you create a cause yourself, you should taste the bad consequences. This matter could not be concealed immediately from the Wanglu brigade. In an instant, everyone knew. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1092. Although the truth has been revealed, the Lu family and Guancheng have still been affected to a certain extent, especially Guancheng. Even if everyone knows that he has not played a hooligan against Wang Lingzi, they can't stand it and pass it on to others. Everyone thought that Guan Cheng and Wang Lingzi were having an affair. Otherwise, how could Wang Lingzi use his reputation to report it? Feng Qingxiu was worried about this at the beginning and wanted to discuss it with Guan Cheng and then take precautions to prevent Wang Lingzi from taking risks. When he was in the army, didn't Wang Beizi just want to use this trick to harm people? Now, she particularly regretted not going to the old man's residence to look for Guan Cheng that night after being reminded by her sister, so that what happened the next day caught them off guard. Guan Cheng comforted, "Auntie, don't blame yourself. This happened so fast. None of us thought of it. I thought of this when I was drying garlic. I ignored Wang Lingzi who came to see me. I wanted to tell her to respect herself and stop being so frivolous, so as not to attract gossip about me. But then I thought, wasn't it just a reminder to her that I would use this as an opportunity to cause other people to misunderstand and force me to have sex with her? She gets married." Little did he know that someone else had reminded Wang Lingzi before he said it. "Wu Lijuan," Guan Cheng squeezed out these 3 words through his teeth. "Wu Lijuan is a classmate of you and Wang Lingzi. You should have gotten along with her. What kind of person is she?" Although Feng Qingxiu did not believe Wang Lingzi's behavior of passing the responsibility to Wu Lijuan, she believed that Wang Lingzi's words were not groundless. Guan Cheng thought for a while, he is very scheming. Scheming, this is a solid derogatory term. Yes, they are very scheming, Guan Cheng said. Actually, most of the people in our team are a bit stupid. It's not stupid stupidity, but simple stupidity. Because they are simple, they can't think of conspiracies and tricks. They usually just do it for trivial matters. Noisy over trivial matters, gossiping behind the scenes, or favoring boys over girls, very few people would think of using conspiracy to harm others. Wang Lingzi said that Wu Lijuan asked her to do this. I don't believe it. Wu Lijuan is not that stupid, but I believe it must be Wu Lijuan, reminded Wang Lingzi. After listening to this, Feng Qingxiu asked, what benefits do you think Wu Lijuan will get after Wang Lingzi does this? Guan Cheng shrugged. Although he had some guesses, he was embarrassed to say them out. Feng Qingxiu understood and couldn't help but sigh, looking at his face that was still gentle and handsome and slightly fairer than ordinary people even under the scorching sun every day. Having a good son in a bad family is just like having a good daughter in the family. They are all good friends, it's a good thing for everyone. It's a good thing that Tianjun joins the army, but you are at home every day, so I'm not surprised at all. At this point, Feng Qingxiu frowned and said, you're already like this. In a few years, when Tianzi and Au come of age, I'm afraid the same thing that happened to you will happen. Oh my god, what should I do? Lu Tianzi and Guan Yu have a Xiao mother and a Xiao aunt. They are both a bit more handsome than their brothers. They will definitely be troubles when they grow up. Guan Cheng chuckled, Auntie, it's too early for you to worry. I am preparing for a rainy day, Feng Qingxiu said seriously. Learning from the past is a lesson from the aftermath. We must take precautions in advance. Your 2 brothers are not as tenacious and calm as you. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1093. The couple were eating when they said this. After listening to Feng Qingxiu's words, the dinner table was full of laughter. Lu's father, Guan Cheng, and Feng Qingyun simultaneously looked at Lu Tianzi and Guan Yu, who were engrossed in eating. Noticing everyone's gazes and recalling Feng Qingxiu's words, Lu Tianzi swallowed the food in his mouth and said, Aunt, what does it have to do with us? We are all children. If we don't marry a wife when we grow up, nothing will happen. Brother Cheng is so unlucky. Yes, I won't marry a wife either. It's too terrible. Our family and my brother were almost killed by Wang Lingzi. As Guan Yu spoke, He patted his chest with lingering fear. The lesbians outside are really scary. My brother doesn't want to marry her, so he comes to harm their whole family. Why can't he be as beautiful, gentle, and kind as his aunt and aunt? It's okay if you don't marry. If you don't marry, you don't have to worry about marrying a bad woman. Guan Yu and Lu Tianzi were inseparable and had very similar ideas. If you don't marry a wife, I will be worried to death, Feng Qingxiu said, while scooping a spoonful of dried sweet potato porridge for Zibao. When you grow up, the characters who accompany you in life will no longer be your elders, but a partner, living with you, working together towards a better tomorrow, so don't stop eating because of choking. Zibao raised his face stained with rice particles and said, Mom, what does it mean to stop eating because of choking? Do you stop eating if you choke to death? I know this, Lu Tianzi raised his hand, it comes from Lu's Spring and Autumn Annals. The original saying is, if someone chokes to death, he wants to ban the food of the world. It means that because someone chokes to death, he wants to let him die. Everyone in the world doesn't eat, it's ridiculous. Just as he was about to explain the meaning, Lu Tianzi saw Fu Bao push away his bowl and said seriously, I choked. Lu Tianzi was stunned and did not react. Father Lu was so funny. Fu Bao, how many bites of food have you had? You don't want to eat anymore. I'm full, Grandpa. Fu Bao touched his belly. Mom, I'm going to poop. Feng Qingyun quickly took her out. Before she reached the toilet, she heard the little girl saying anxiously, pull daddy, pull daddy. Then you pull it here. Feng Qingyun was afraid that she would pull it in her pants and would not be able to send it to the toilet in time, so she put it down on the spot and pulled her pants down to the crook of her legs. The little girl squatted and pulled it up with her two little hands. On the knees, the attitude is particularly focused. After finishing defecation, Feng Qingyun took out toilet paper from her pocket, wiped her butt and pulled up her pants. As a result, the little girl looked back at the daddy on the ground and sighed, what a beautiful daddy. Hearing this, Feng Qingyun almost sat down on the ground. Everyone in the room heard it and couldn't help laughing. The porridge in Guan Yu's mouth spurted out instantly. Fortunately, he turned his head quickly and didn't spray out to the table. Even so, it made him cough. Feng Qingxiu was speechless. How narcissistic is her daughter? Every shit you poop is beautiful. Papa stinks. It stinks, Zibao shouted, looking at his sister who came in with a look of disgust. Sister, you didn't pinch your nose, but you actually said that daddy is beautiful. Feng Qingxiu hit her son on the head and said, okay, eat your food quickly. We are eating, what can we say about daddy and not daddy? Zibao let out an "oh," then scooped the rice into his mouth honestly, wiped his mouth after eating. Grandpa, eat quickly. After eating, let's go to work and let Uncle and Grandpa praise me. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1094. During the busy farming season, people usually leave early and return late. They get up before dawn, go to the fields, and return home at night. The Wanglu Brigade is particularly busy this year. First, there is a bumper harvest and increased output, which naturally requires more labor. Second, there are no teachers and students in the city to help. Now students have suspended classes and many teachers have been unlucky. It is difficult to reproduce the previous two. The only good thing about the grand occasion of the year is that half-grown children like Lu Tianzi can take care of half of the labor force. Taking advantage of the fine weather, the entire Wanglu Brigade was sweating profusely in the fields, cutting wheat, bundling, loading, transporting, threshing, drying, etc. They were so busy that their feet hit the back of their heads. The very old, elderly and young children cannot do physical work, so they just pick wheat ears in the fields. They only have one wish, and that is to collect the ripe grain into the granary quickly, so as not to prevent God from being in a mood of uncertainty. Sunny days and rainy days, delaying the harvest, which is equivalent to refusing to give them food to eat. Father Lu couldn't care about his grandson, so he sent him to his daughter-in-law and gave him the task of practicing calligraphy. Promised to complete the mission, the little guy saluted with a military salute. Feng Qingxiu was pregnant, and the fetus was not very stable. The whole family did not allow her to work in the fields, so she was responsible for washing and cooking at home, taking care of her 2 children, while Feng Qingyun did some light work. For example, if you turn over the wheat that has been removed from the sun, or gather the wheat into a pile before nightfall, you will be completely tanned after 3 or 2 days. Fu Bao noticed it and was so frightened that she refused to leave the house. Even if she went to relieve herself in the yard, she had to wear a straw hat. However, she didn't notice that her exposed arms and hands were darker than the skin under her clothes. Children are not so careful. Feng Qingxiu found a bottle of children's sunscreen for her to use. Although the little girl only thought it was cream, she beamed with joy and kept kissing her on the face. "Mom, I love you the most." Feng Qingxiu was about to speak when she suddenly heard a knock on the door. "I'll open the door." Zibao was getting impatient while practicing calligraphy. He put down his brush, squeaked, and ran as fast as a rabbit. Opening the door, he looked up at the stranger at the door. She was a middle-aged woman, fanning her face with a straw hat. Zibao said matter-of-factly, "Hello, who are you looking for?" "Is this the Lu family?" The middle-aged woman looked down at the little boy with sharp eyebrows and starry eyes in front of her. "It's the Lu family in the sea, land, and air," Zibao nodded. Feng Qingxiu heard the stranger's voice and walked out of the house. "This is the Lu family. May I ask who your comrade is?" Hello, are you comrade Feng Qingxiu, the aunt who adopted Guancheng and Guanyu?" The middle-aged woman stepped forward to shake hands with her enthusiastically. "My name is Wang Daniu, and I am also married to our Wang Lu brigade. My daughter, I have to call you uncle." Feng Qingxiu was murmuring in her heart, but it didn't stop her from greeting him into the house. "Sister Wang suddenly came to our house while she was busy at work." "What's the matter?" Feng Qingxiu asked while pouring water for her. She recognized some of the girls married by the Wanglu brigade, especially in recent years. They are married, but they don't know many of them who got married before they got married. Hongling Niang only became familiar with her when she married in Kahua. Wang Daniu smiled and said, "It's a good thing, not a bad thing." Feng Qingxiu asked what a good thing it was, and only heard the answer, "I'm here to arrange a good marriage for your family in Guancheng." "What else can this be? This girl is very good, and I'm sure your family will be satisfied." Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1095. Recently, there are almost no matchmakers in Guancheng. This is the biggest impact that the Wang Lingzi incident has had on Guancheng. Even the people in this brigade are like this. They are afraid that they will not be able to face Wang Xinlei's family after promising their daughter to Guancheng, not to mention other brigade people who don't know the truth. Of course, part of the reason is that we are busy with farming and no one has time to talk about marriage. Regarding the very good marriage that Wang Daniu said, Feng Qingxiu did not show joy as she expected, and said calmly, "My Akin said that he has no intention of getting married now, and wants to study medicine and benefit the people. Wait a few years. His brother has grown up, and he will think about his lifelong affairs again." Sister Qingxiu, don't refuse so sharply. When you start a family, you start a family. You start a family first, and you start a career later. Which son of any family doesn't get married first and then start a career? Wang Daniu said while smiling, and said sincerely, "I have been in recent times. I've heard some rumors about Guancheng, and I'm telling you, it's only then that you can clearly see people's hearts. It's at this time that the good people are the ones who will never leave you, and the ones who just stay away from you after hearing the gossip can't. Deep friendship, No marriage. Feng Qingxiu's heart suddenly moved. I would like to know who the good family you call is. It's not what she guessed. Wang Daniu smiled and said, a good family and a good girl. I told you that you will be satisfied. Her family lives in a commune, not far from the supply and marketing cooperative. Her mother works in the supply and marketing cooperative. Her name is Wu Lijuan, and she is from Guancheng. High school classmates, look at how wonderful we are. We went to high school together, we are both intellectuals, we must have a common language. As soon as she heard the words Wu Lijuan, Feng Qingxiu completely understood Wu Lijuan's intention of instigating Wang Lingzi to report on the Lu family and Guancheng. Since she and Guancheng are classmates, she must understand Guancheng's character. Even if she is ruined, she will not marry Wang Lingzi, who framed her. In this case, it will be difficult for Guancheng to marry a girl from a good family. At this time, Wu Lijuan appeared and expressed her unyielding attitude towards Guancheng. Most people would definitely be moved by her. Unfortunately, the Lu family has never been ordinary people. Feng Qingxiu smiled slightly, such a good girl, please introduce her to other people's good boys. What does this mean? Wang Daniu didn't react for a moment, but when she thought about it, she realized that it was Feng Qingxiu who refused, and she hurriedly said, oh, sister, it's not my fault, so don't be too picky. It's always fun to be content. Lijuan is a very good girl, smart. Who in the neighborhood wouldn't give her a thumbs up and say that she is a good girl? I just think that your family is practicing medicine in Shilibaxiang. Well, I just want to introduce Lijuan to him. Most people would not be willing to act as matchmakers. Feng Qingxiu asked back, you already know the gossip about our family in Guancheng, so you think so highly of him. Although Wang Daniu didn't have a handkerchief in her hand, she still flicked her wrist and said, of course, I can't trust the character of your family in Guancheng. I just trust you, so I don't care about the reputation. Lijuan's family also thinks the same way. I don't mind Guancheng's reputation being ruined by Wang Lingzi, I just hope the young couple can live a good life. Putting aside the ingredients, what kind of family is the Lu family now? The most prestigious family in Shuguan Commune. With a little bit of glory from Lujiang, a high-ranking official in the army, the nephews will benefit from it all their lives, and the families they are married to will be the same. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1096. In fact, among Lu Jiang's nephews, Lu Tianjun is the most popular in terms of marriage. White coat, red flag flying, 4 wheels and a knife. With his uncle's connections and support, Lu Tianjun is still worried about having no future. Even if he doesn't reach the level of his uncle, he will still be an officer. There is no need to talk about salary and benefits. Whoever marries him will enjoy a lifetime of blessings. It's a pity that Lu Tianjun is not at home. Recently, I heard that Lu Tianjun already has a partner. I don't know how many people are secretly feeling sad. Guancheng is not bad either. Although he is not a white coat doctor in the hospital, he is a good doctor who is well known from all over the country. Wu Lijuan took a fancy to the people in Guancheng, and the Wu family took a fancy to the Lu family's power. I thought that the Lu family must be grateful for their appearance when Guancheng's reputation was in great disrepute. Even Wang Daniu thought so, but she didn't expect that Feng Qingxiu still refused, quite simply. Wang Daniu was anxious, why is this? You can't do this as a matchmaker, and you can't do that as a matchmaker. Isn't your vision too high? Although Wang Daniu is not in her natal family, many things about her natal family cannot be hidden from her ears. After all, folks from her natal family often go to the supply and marketing cooperative to sell some agricultural and sideline products, and they often chat for a long time when they meet. Feng Qingxiu said calmly, when Wang Lingzi framed our family and Guancheng, many people were there and everyone heard it. She said that a classmate named Wu Lijuan asked her to do this. What? Wang Daniu was surprised. Although the commune clerk came to convey the follow-up investigation results, Wu Lijuan did not ask her to do so, but Wu Lijuan did mention her cousin's matter to Wang Lingzi at that time. It seemed that her cousin had taken a fancy to someone in the city, and the young man did not want to. If he marries her, she will accuse him of being a hooligan, and for the sake of his reputation, he will have to endure it and marry her. Feng Qingxiu said this and continued, so we think Wu Lijuan has the intention to remind and hint Wang Lingzi. Sister, tell me, do we dare to marry such a girl into our family? Wang Daniu frowned and said, Lijuan is the only girl among the 3 generations of her ancestors. How can she have any cousins? Wu Lijuan doesn't have a cousin, Feng Qingxiu asked. Yes, no, Lijuan doesn't have a cousin. How could such a thing happen? After Wang Daniu answered, she said hurriedly, it must be Wang Lingzi who is talking nonsense. She framed your family and Guancheng. Can you believe her words? It must be a false accusation against Lijuan. Feng Qingxiu said, if the story was made up by Wu Lijuan, then it will highlight her sinister intentions. Wang Daniu was speechless after hearing this. Sister, please take this trip out of your busy schedule. Please reply to the Wu family and ask them to choose another son-in-law. Just say, as I said at the beginning, our family in Guancheng has no intention of starting a family at the moment. Are you really that stubborn? Wang Daniu frowned. Feng Qingxiu chuckled and said, a gentleman is true to his words. My Akin has said so, and he will do it naturally. If we can't find a suitable partner, our children are really not in a hurry to form a revolutionary family with others. This is called wanting rather than messing up. Besides, Akin will officially turn 20 after his birthday in half a month, so what's the rush? It won't be too late to get married in a few years. Lu Zhang only met her when he was 28 years old. If he got married very early, how could he meet such a good person? Feng Qingxiu held her cheek and suddenly became as narcissistic as her daughter. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1097. Wang Daniu had nothing to say after hearing this. Girls cannot afford to delay their youth, and outstanding gay men really have no worries about finding a wife no matter how old they are. Guancheng is only 22 years old, and Wu Lijuan, like Wang Lingzi, went to school late, and unlike Guancheng who skipped 2 grades in a row, she is already 22 years old. For now, she can be considered an old girl. I simply can't afford to delay. Wang Daniu came full of ambition and returned full of disappointment. The difference is that Wu Lijuan is smarter. Even if Feng Qingxiu rejected the marriage, she did not do anything unreasonable like Wang Lingzi. After Feng Qingxiu rejected Wang Daniu's matchmaking offer, she told Guancheng and stopped paying attention to Wu Lijuan. The Wanglu brigade is too busy to keep busy, who has such leisure time? I vaguely heard that Wang Lingzi's mother had made a fuss with Wu Lijuan. Although everyone does not allow Feng Qingxiu to go to work, she will not just sit at home and do nothing. She will also be fully equipped to help dry the wheat grains on the field, sweating like rain under the sun. It's quite cool at night, and sometimes you have to cover yourself with a thin blanket or towel, but during the day the sun is really scorching. It's a good year, Zibao must have brought it. Miao Fengqin bumped the dustpan on the sidelines, separating the wheat husks from the wheat grains inside. The wheat husks were relatively light and fell together with the dustpan, and flew out, leaving only wheat grains in the dustpan. Feng Qingxiu finished drying a large piece of wheat grains and wiped the sweat from her forehead. Big sister, what does it have to do with Zibao? Miao Fengqin looked at her sideways. Why doesn't it matter? Don't think that I don't know about your uncle and your grandpa Lusan looking for a blind man. Look, it's Zibao's relationship. How good is the weather? Look, a large area of wheat on the mountain can be cut and threshed directly into the warehouse. There is no need to dry it at all. How much manpower do you think it saves? It's not as miraculous as you said. I think it's just God's blessing. Look how hot it is during the day. Everyone is sweating profusely. She secretly used the outdoor thermometer and found that it had reached 35 or 6 at noon. The temperature is high. It's better when it's hot during the day. I wish the sun was more poisonous. I can dry the wheat grains by turning them over in the sun. The farmer and Feng Qingxiu had different ideas. As he spoke, Miao Fengqin stared at Feng Qingxiu's belly. Eyes, Xiaoxiu, I remember you were less than 3 months pregnant, right? When you came back from the capital, you said you were only a month old, so why does your belly look like it's 3 or 4 months old? You're already pregnant. Showing your affection? Feng Qingxiu looked down at her belly. She has been so busy recently that she hasn't paid much attention to her physical condition. Looking at it, the bulge in her lower abdomen is indeed the appearance of a normal 4-month pregnancy. Although the bulge is not obvious, it is very inconsistent with a pregnancy of more than 2 months. She quickly put down the board on which the wheat grains were being dried, checked the pulse of her right hand with her left hand, and then checked her left hand with her right hand. What's wrong? Wang Jiao came over after drying the wheat grains and was very curious. Xiaoxiu, I'm not telling you, you're not an old farmer, why are you doing all this backbreaking work? You're exposed to the wind and the sun. The day was light, and Feng Qingxiu's medical skills were not good enough, so she couldn't figure out anything. She happened to plan to visit Wu Zheng tomorrow and asked Wu Zheng to check her pulse. Her belly showed that she was pregnant early, and it was most likely twins. Feng Qingxiu was pregnant. Qingxiu retracted her hand, put down her long sleeves, and said to Wang Qiao, cousin, I am doing this for your own good, and you still don't appreciate it. How can you do this for me? I still have to work. Wang Qiao touched her belly. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1098. Feng Qingxiu glanced at her belly, held up the big straw hat on her head, and said plausibly, if I plow one more field of wheat, you and Xiaoun will plow one less piece. You said, by doing this, I will reduce your weight burden. That's right, cousin, you don't know a good heart. Feng Qingyun took a big broom and gently swept the surface of the wheat grains spread out to dry, sweeping away the wheat husks and other debris floating on the surface so as not to cover them. The wheat grains below were kept out of contact with sunlight, and these debris were slowly swept to Miao Fengqin's side, and then separated with a dustpan. There are some grains of wheat among these miscellaneous things, and no one can bear to leave them alone. Ignore her, I'm too lazy to sleep at home every day. Miao Fengqin poured the separated wheat grains into the wheat grains being dried, and then swept the wheat husks and other items swept over by Feng Qingyun into the dustpan. A new round of promotion. Wang Jiao stuck out her tongue towards her mother. Father Lu was wearing a straw hat, carrying a dung basket on his back, and waving a whip, driving the oxen that pulled the stone roller. The stone roller had run over the harvested wheat, and the wheat ears and wheat straw were spread on the field. Zibao wanted to ride on the back of an ox, but did not get Lu's father's consent. Although Zibao is small, he is not light in weight. The old man is reluctant to add burden to the working cow. Zibao puffed out his cheeks and his eyes flashed with displeasure. Feng Qingxiu quickly pulled him back from his father-in-law to prevent the little guy from pestering him, and then called to his daughter who was squatting in the wheat grains and playing, Fu Bao, we are going home, let's go home and cook. Fu Bao immediately ran over and said, go home and cook for grandpa, brother, aunt, but not brother. Why don't you let me eat? Zibao was very unconvinced and his eyes widened. Brother didn't work, Fu Bao said confidently and pointed to the place where he had just played. The wheat grains that were originally spread out were uneven and uneven. I worked. I have food to eat, but my brother doesn't working without food. Zibao snorted and didn't care about her. Feng Qingxiu allowed the two children to bicker, as long as they didn't fight. While cooking, she counted the days. She was on leave in March. Starting from the day she arrived home, she would have to return to the army in late June. She was worried when she thought about taking such a long train. Being pregnant, carrying two babies, and a bunch of luggage, getting in and out of the car was really a hassle. It was busy farming, so Father Lu couldn't be asked to see them off with him. Firstly, it is inconvenient to take a sleeper compartment, and secondly, one less person in the brigade means one less labor force. Compared with the hard work of returning to the city, the harvest is obviously more important. I'll go with Sister, Feng Qingyun said without hesitation. I will take care of Fu Bao, and Sister will just hold 11 Bao. Father Lu was very hesitant and worried. Is it possible for you two sisters to raise two children? I don't think it is possible. Feng Qingxiu hurriedly smiled and said, I think it will work. Xiaoun is not young anymore and can take care of Fu Bao very well. The weather is hot, so just bring a few changes of clothes as luggage. The food will only spoil. Eat and drink on the train, buy it on the train and get on and off the train. Please do me a favor. I don't have enough food stamps on me. I have to go to the city to exchange for some national food stamps. He Qingyin took out a handkerchief bag from her arms and put it on the table. What kind of food can I exchange for? It's not cost effective. This is a national food stamp sent to me by the Red Army. It weighs a full 40 kilograms. I will give it to Xiaoxiu and Sister Xiaoxiu to take on the road. Use. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1099. Living in Wangla Brigade, He Qingyin feels much more comfortable than in Shanghai. Although daily necessities are not that abundant, He Hongjun will send some every month, and here she does not have to worry about endless criticism and review, and she does not have to worry about He Hongjun trapping herself in order to protect herself. The rations provided by the Wangla Brigade were sufficient. All the old people who were sent down could receive part of the rations until the end of the year when the rations were distributed. In name, the amount was half that of ordinary people. In fact, it was not less at all. There were usually more despite the subsidies from Father Lu and Feng Qingxiu. He Qingyin never used the food stamps sent by He Hongjun. No use. Feng Qingxiu was not polite to He Qingyin, so she took it and put it in her pocket. Thank you, senior sister. I will go to the city to visit Dr. Wu tomorrow and bring you delicious food when I come back. Mom, I want to eat canned fruit. Zibao raised his hand. Fu Bao took a step slower, glanced at his brother unhappily, and said delicately, Mom, I'll go buy something delicious with you. Touching the heads of the two children, Feng Qingxiu said softly, it's too hot outside. The family is so busy, and you are so young. You are tired from walking and your mother can't hold you, so can you wait for your mother at home? Zibao and Fuebao had their mouths flat, but they still agreed. Feng Qingxiu wanted to bring some delicious food back to her family to replenish her meal, so she didn't want to take her children with her. At about 4 o'clock the next day, while they were still awake, she told Guancheng and Feng Qingyun and went out. Although she had the bicycle given by Chen Xuanyang at home, she did not ride it for fear of bumping her stomach. She prepared some things in her backpack on the way, and arrived at the small courtyard where Wu Zheng and his wife lived before Wu Zheng went to work. What a coincidence, it was Huzi who opened the door for him again, but he had grown into a young man. Huzu recognized Feng Qingxiu at a glance and said enthusiastically, "Are you here to see Dr. Wu? You don't have to go to work today." "Yes, I'm here to see Dr. Wu." Feng Qingxiu patted her forehead. Her brain was getting really hard. She chose to visit Wu Zheng today because of the weekend, but after leaving the house, she still wanted to rush in. Come to him before he goes to work. Wu Zheng and Mrs. Wu heard the sound and walked out. They were very happy to see Feng Qingxiu. "You are a very busy man now, why do you have time to come here?" Wu Zheng deliberately made a fierce face. In fact, he was very happy in his heart. Feng Qingxiu often visited him before joining the army. There were not many letters exchanged in the year after joining the army. They also sent a lot of specialties from the border Tibetan areas to the couple, something even their biological children couldn't do. Feng Qingxiu stretched out her hand to help him into the house, and said with a smile, "How dare I call myself a busy person in front of you, the old man? I go to the Three Treasures Hall to check your pulse." When he arrived at the room, Wu Zheng turned his hand and pressed on her pulse, and made a sound. "Did you tell me anything?" Wu Zheng glanced at her. "Aren't you tired of walking such a long distance even though you're pregnant?" "More than 2 months pregnant," Feng Qingxiu reminded. Wu Zheng was stunned for a moment and looked down at her belly. However, her cotton and linen clothes were very loose, and the old man couldn't see anything at all. "Fortunately," Feng Qingxiu continued, "it looks like it's 3 or 4 months old. I also put it on, there's no reason why. You are more than 2 months pregnant but you have a 4-month fetus, so you still need to ask? You must be pregnant with more than one fetus," Wu Zheng said without any hesitation. "Although my medical skills are passable, your pregnancy is shallow and you can diagnose it. You are pregnant, but you can't tell whether you are having twins. You have to wait 3 or 4 months to listen to the fetal heart rate to confirm." Routine reminder to vote. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1100. Feng Qingxiu was a little disappointed. "Can't you get it out too?" She thought that powerful players like Guoming and Wu Zheng could easily figure out the results she wanted to know. Wu Zheng glanced at her. "I'm a human being, not a god. At such a young age, how can I be sure whether you are pregnant with a single child or twins? Even if you listen to the fetal heartbeat, you may not be able to tell. However, Chinese medicine combines the 4 aspects of observation, hearing, inquiry, and diagnosis. According to what you said, it is definitely twins. Your pregnancy is not as stable as Zibao's, so you need to take care of it." Feng Qingxiu hurriedly said, "You are right, I was too anxious. No matter it is a boy or a girl, 1 or 2, it is the same for Ajiang and I. We need to have a good pregnancy and a smooth pregnancy, just give him birth." When she heard that Feng Qingxiu was pregnant with twins, Mrs. Wu was very happy for her and quickly asked her to sit down and rest and poured her water. "You don't have to be busy, I just came to see you 2 old people. Farming is busy at home, and I have to rush back in a while." Feng Qingxiu took out the gifts she brought from her backpack and said with a smile, "There is also another news I want to tell you. Mr. Wu, I have a teacher in the capital, a real disciple. Guess who he is?" Wu Zheng waved his hand. "I know a lot of colleagues in the capital." "I don't know who you worship." "My master's surname is Guo," Feng Qingxiu reminded. "Guoming." Seeing Feng Qingxiu nodding, Wu Zheng and his wife exclaimed at the same time, and then Wu Zheng said, "It seems that your medical skills have improved rapidly over the years, otherwise it would be difficult for you to get into the eyes of Lao Guo. He accepts apprentices. He is a very picky old guy, and his requirements for apprentices are both character and talent." Feng Qingxiu smiled and said, "Master doesn't think my qualifications are dull, so he is willing to accept me as a disciple who has become a monk halfway." Wu Zheng shook his head and said seriously, "You have a very good talent. I didn't accept you as my disciple at first. I just wanted to test whether you could persevere. I didn't expect that today, A few years later, Lao Guo would take the lead. The old man couldn't help but sigh, but it was too late. Feng Qingxiu never expected that Wu Zheng had such thoughts when he did not accept her as his disciple. She was immediately flattered and said, "There is no difference between you and Master in my heart. If it weren't for your selfless teaching, then I wouldn't be where I am today." Development. Master is willing to accept me as his disciple, and you have half of the credit. Wu Zheng was broad-minded and did not take this regret to heart. It's good that you worship Lao Guo as your teacher. Lao Guo's medical skills are better than mine, and he never hides his secrets. Is he okay now? It's good. As one of the doctors beside the old leader, living in the compound, I have a lot of time to study medical skills. After listening to Feng Qingxiu's words, Wu Zheng understood, nodded, and said, "That's fine. It's safe and sound. It's better than anything else. But when did you come back? When did you go to the capital?" Feng Qingxiu carefully told the two elderly people about the recent situation. Wu Zhen nodded while listening. "So, you will have to return to the army in a few days." "Yes, the 3-month vacation is coming to an end. We must set off within the specified date." Counting the days, there are only a few days left. Feng Qingxiu was used to the bustling life at home and learning from the masters at home. Feng Qingxiu felt a little. "I'm reluctant to give up, but my work is also very important. In this case, I can only give up one side and accommodate one side.